Good day. In this video we're going to teach you how to write each of the trig numbers examples up here as a function value of a positive acute angle. All these words aren't important. You'll see what we do. It's needed in the section reduction in grade 11 trig. We're going to change all these numbers to acute angles with their ratios. First thing we have to remember is how the cast diagram works. C-A-S-T. Cos is positive, all is positive, sine is positive, tan is positive. You need to know that on the Cartesian plane we start at naught over here. Positive angles are working in this direction and negative angles in this direction. Easy to remember. We start at naught. That number is always 90, 180, 270, 360. That means it's positive. That means the opposite will be minus 90, minus 180, minus 270 and minus 360 all the way around. Right, the next thing you have to remember that these numbers that we have up here, we are going to find out how they form an acute angle between the terminal arm and the x-axis. The terminal arm is a line that will move around on the Cartesian plane and stand at a specific position. We will see it with the first example. So we are going to change all these trig numbers. We're going to rewrite it as a function value of a positive acute angle. Then we will make a few videos where we simplify trig expressions with these numbers inside of them. In all the answers we're going to write, you will have to put a set of brackets. You put a plus or minus. You're going to put a name out, sine, cos, or tan. You're going to put an acute angle at the back. So that's how all our answers, it will have a plus or minus, a name, an acute angle at the back. Set of brackets is optional, but I please want that. The first thing you do is you put a set of brackets there and there. Then you leave a space for a plus or minus. Then you write the cos over here, and we'll work out the acute angle now. Firstly, I drew myself a terminal ray that lies on the x-axis here, and it will now rotate either this way or this way for this amount of degrees. My terminal arm will then move from here, minus 40 degrees in this direction. Then you ask, my acute angle between the terminal arm and the x-axis will be 40 degrees back here. And that's why I will write the 40 degrees over here. And because I am in the cast, the C quadrant, I'll put a plus over there. So, cos minus 40 will become plus cos 40 degrees. The next one, we've got tan minus 40 degrees. Again, my terminal R would move minus 40 degrees in this direction. Then I ask, my acute angle between the terminal arm and the x-axis will be 40 degrees, back to the x-axis acute. And then that I will write over here. I will keep my name. Then I check I'm in this quadrant, that's where minus 40 lies. I see there's a C. I've got a T over here, that means my tan must be negative. My final answer is then minus tan 40 degrees. The next one is going to be sine 150 degrees. I keep my name, I put my brackets out. I need a plus or a minus, and I need an acute angle over here. So I take my 150 degrees, I start at naught with my terminal arm, and I go past 90, positive direction, up to 150. It's before I get to 180. Then I draw my terminal arm. Then I ask, what is the acute angle between my terminal arm and the x-axis? So from 150 to 180 will be 30 degrees. That I'll write over there. Then I need to find out if it's going to be a positive or a negative in that quadrant. I can see there's a S standing there. I've got a S over here, so I can put a plus over here. Final answer, plus sine 30 degrees. Cos minus 160. I keep my name cos. I check where minus 160 is. I start at naught. I go backwards past minus 90 up to minus 160. It's not at 180. So I draw my terminal ray. Acute angle between the terminal arm and the x-axis will be 20 degrees from 160 to 180. Then I'm going to put my 20 over here, and I must decide on a plus or minus here. Because I'm in the T quadrant, cos is going to be negative here, so it's negative cos 20. The next one is tan minus 160. I already wrote the answer for you. Tan minus 160 still starts at naught. Minus 160 is into this quadrant. Terminal ray. acute angle between the terminal arm and the x-axis will again be 20 degrees. I put down my tan, I put down my 20 degrees. I have to decide if this is a plus or a minus. I look in which quadrant I am, I see the t over there, I see my t over here, and I put my plus, so it's plus tan 20. The next one, the question said sine 330. It's positive over here, so I go right around here for 330 degrees. My acute angle between the terminal arm and the x-axis will be 30 degrees. Use my calculator, 360 minus 330. And then I write down the sign again that I had, sin. Put my 30 degrees. I have to check if it's positive or negative. I'm in the C quadrant, so sin is negative here. So I put a negative sin 30. I'm going to talk you through the last two. We got cos 300 here. Start at naught, go around for 300. I'm 60 degrees away from the x-axis. That's why I wrote a cos 60 here. I'm in this quadrant. Cos is positive in this quadrant. That's where the plus comes from. Next one is tan 210. Start at naught. Go past 180 into this quadrant. That's 210. How far am I from 180? I minus the 180 on my calculator from 210. That gives me 30. That's why I wrote a 30 here. I'm in the tan quadrant. That's why I wrote plus tan 30. This one is a little bit more of a mouthful. They gave you here a sin 1180. So if you want to start here and go around plus 360, plus 720 and keep going till you get here, you'll see that I'm going to get to sin 100. The reason being that what we usually do is you just minus 360 from here, minus 360, minus 360, till we get to a value that is within one rotation. And then we go to the same way we did the previous ones. So if I minus my calculator, I minus 360 a few times from here, I'm going to get to sine 100. That's going to put me in this quadrant. Again, the acute angle between the terminal arm and the x-axis will be 80 degrees from 100 to 180. And that's what I'll write then. And I'm in this quadrant, so sine will be positive. Final answer, plus sine 80 degrees. Do not be afraid of this number. Just go around and around and around till you get to the value inside one revolution. This one is even more of a mouthful. Here we have a minus 920. The tan will stay tan, so that's not a problem, but I need to find out in which quadrant I am. So I'll start here and go backwards, minus 360, minus 720, until I get to 920. The shortcut again, plus 360, plus 360, plus 360, till you get to a positive number between 0 and 360, which will be this 160. Do that with your calculator and then check in which quadrant you are. 160 will be from here all the way up into this quadrant. It'll look like this. And then the acute angle between the terminal arm and the x-axis will then be 20 degrees. 160 to 180 is 20. So I will write tan 20. I'm not in the tan quadrant. I'm in this quadrant, the sine quadrant. So this is going to become negative tan 20, which will be my final answer. To quickly summarize, we need to know how our cast diagram works. We take this ratio that they gave us with these numbers over here. You check in which quadrant you are. We always rewrite the names, so that's easy to remember. This guy tells you in which quadrant you are. This is the number of the acute angle, how far you are from the x-axis. That's for each one of them. So we keep the name. We decide in which quadrant we are. We decide how far we are from the x-axis and write that size down. And then we put a plus or minus in front by looking at the cast diagram. So we have a plus or minus, a name ratio, and an acute angle, and that's our final answers. In most textbooks you will find these specific steps. If you have a sine 300, they will say where does the 300 come from? It's a sine bracket 360 minus 60, and then they will write minus sine 60. A lot of kids get confused by this step, so I'll just leave it out because they think this minus is the minus you see there. It's not. This tells you in which quadrant you are. Then you say how far are you from the x-axis, that's the 60. You keep your name. And because you are in the fourth quadrant, there's a minus here. But these steps you'll find in all the textbooks. So don't get confused. You should now understand why they are writing these calculations. Now the last one for this video is again what we'll see in the textbooks. They will write the cos 210, then they will write cos 180 plus 30 to see where the 210 comes from. And then the answer will be minus cos 30. I would like these brackets in the beginning and the end. You'll see later why. First we see where's 210. I start here, go all the way around here. You say how far are you from the x-axis? That's where the 30 degrees came from. And you see I'm in the t quadrant, so cos will be negative here. Don't get upset by this step. Try and understand it.